when you offer your product and services, you want to make the biggest offer, ultimate super duper offer that is so outrageous that knowing most people would not go for this.
This is Dan Lok. He's teaching us how to convince your prospects to buy more of your services today. And we need to put some respect on his name, because without Dan Lok, a lot of the high ticket closing industry probably didn't exist. So today we're going to take out some of the best things that you can use in your sales process and your marketing, and some of the stuff that I would leave behind.
Would you like to convince more of your customers to buy more from you more often?
Yes, I would. It feels very infomercial, doesn't it? But it's got like 7 million views or something.
A simple but powerful sales technique that's been proven to work in my various companies. It is very simple, something that you can apply today. It has nothing to do with gimmicks. It has nothing to do with your sales script. It has to do with your offer. What are some of the simple things that you can tweak within your offer that you can convince your customers to buy more from you? And that strategy is called the 3 boxes.
What's really cool about this is called unique mechanisms. So whenever we name something like the 3 boxes, it adds a degree of curiosity and credibility. We just unconsciously associate perceived value to something that has a name. So you can use this in your offers as well, where you might have pieces of your offer that could have their own fun name, right? A unique mechanism where you have your version of the 3 boxes. We have the consult method. We also have neurolinguistic questions, which are really just questions with a neurolinguistic unique mechanism put on top of them, right? To make them seem different and a higher perceived value. Because if I said I have a playbook of questions, it's not as high perceived value or curiosity as I have a playbook full of 13 neurolinguistic questions that help you close more deals. So this is just immediately from the opening, just really good stuff.
Now, I want you to think about this. When you are selling your product or service, that you have one choice, you have one option. When someone looks at your offer, all they could think, all the consumers can think is, do I want to buy this or do I not want to buy this? So it is a yes or no response. So now they're thinking, okay, can I afford this? Do I have the budget for this? They are focusing on price. Now, however, if you give them 2 choices, such as like an A and a B, like this, I want you to think back. Remember when you go to movie theaters a long time ago, right? They give you 2 choices. They have the large pop and then they have the small pop. When you want to buy a soda, 2 choices. And what most people do is when you give them 2 choices, 20% go for the small and 20% go for the large. Why? Because most people like to play safe and they like to pick the ones that they could save money on. So it's A and B. Good. Now, when you give them A and B, these 2 choices, the consumer, your customer, they're not so focusing on, okay, do I want to buy this or do I not want to buy it? They're thinking, which one do I want to buy?
This is also known as a double bind. So in the neurolinguistic programming world, we call this a double bind, which creates the illusion of choice. So you either have A or you have B. And theoretically, a prospect is less likely to be thinking in yes or no, and they're more likely to be thinking in which option works best for me. So this is pretty good.
But then later on, the movie theater, they introduce a 3rd choice, which is this, right? That's the 3 boxes. And here's how the strategy works. Suddenly, they have the small soda. They have the regular, which used to be the old large, which now they call it the regular. Because large feels like, oh, it's too much. Oh, regular, that makes sense. They just changed the name. It used to be large. Regular, and then they have what? The jumbo size pop that's like this big, right? That you can never ever finish, even with your kids. So you have the 3 choices. And here's how it works. They offer you the small, they offer you something in the middle, they give you something that's like jumbo size. So when you do this, suddenly there's like what I call contrast pricing. So when you offer your product and services, you want to make the biggest offer, the ultimate super duper offer that is so outrageous that knowing most people would not go for this, knowing that. And then you want to make your small offer like so wimpy, right? You want to make it so like, average. You don't like it that much, but you want to make the middle one very, very compelling, knowing you actually want people to buy this one. That's the one you want to buy. So what happens is the movie theater, they introduce this concept. 20% who really like soda, they go for the big jumbo, 20%, right? And then you have 60% go for the middle, and then you have 20% that go for the small. And then later on, they actually introduce their kind of the kid size.
So this is really powerful. The reason why this works is when it comes to pricing, people are thinking about pricing relative to either the last thing that they purchase or what is in their current bank account. So let's say, for example, we have a $5,000 offer, and this $5,000 high ticket offer, premium offer is the one that we want to sell. If we just offer the one offer to them, they're thinking in binary terms, whether I can afford it or whether I can't afford it. And there's nothing to compare it against. So if they say it's too expensive, what they're doing is they're saying the $5,000 relative to the $5,000 that's in my bank account feels like too much. Whereas if this person had $50,000 in their bank account, it wouldn't feel like as much. So it's not as expensive. So the power of doing a contrast frame like this is you would want your most expensive offer to be the one at the top. And this acts as something that we call a price anchor. So a price anchor is a way to position a price point to remove the shock of the sticker. And typically, most people aren't going to take this one, but it adds a level of pricing to contrast everything else against. Then on the bottom layer, we have an offer that we don't care a lot about, something that we don't necessarily want to sell, but it's just there to take care of that portion of the audience that genuinely can't afford it. Now, our $5,000 offer would go in the middle. This is the one we want to sell a lot of. So maybe this top tier one is a $20,000 done for you. We'll do all of the bits and pieces. Maybe the bottom one is a self-paced program. It's like $1,000. And the one in the middle, this is the one that we recommend for you. This is a $5,000 one. It's a done with you program where we work with you one-to-one over the next 12 weeks to install a sales program so you can double your close rate and drive 2 to 3 more premium clients every single month. And so this is how we would use it in practicality. So you want to think about in your specific offer, how are you deploying this price anchor strategy of a high price, a low price, and the offer that you want to sell? And if you're a commission salesperson, the fastest way to increase your commission is to increase your average sale, which means deciding to start positioning your offer higher, aiming for the higher volume, so the higher dollar value offer and looking to sell more volume of that by positioning another offer underneath and another one over top. Now, if you don't have 3 offers, you can just have a large offer, which is a price anchor, which makes the second offer feel more reasonable. That's the key thing that I would take away. So if you don't have 3 offers, it works with 2 as well. It's called a price contrast frame.
Now, what I believe when you are making an offer, 2 choices, it's good. 3 choices are the best. Now, when you offer them 4 choices, I believe it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too confusing.
This is true. Our brains typically only have space for 7 chunks of information at any one point. So what's happening is all this information that's coming in, even from this video. You're not likely to take more than 7 key takeaways, maybe 3 or 4 at best. And this is largely because there's a lot of information coming at you. And so your brain has to filter out the stuff that is valuable and is not valuable. And it will delete, distort, and generalize anything that doesn't seem valuable to you, you don't understand, goes over your head, etc. It'll just remove that stuff, which is why you can go back and watch a movie that you saw 10 years ago and you can see it differently from another stage of life because you're seeing it through a different filter. You're seeing different deletions, distortions, and generalizations that you had when you saw it for the first time.
But when you give them this and you make the middle one, this is the one you want to sell. You make this as compelling as possible. Let me give you another example. I want you to think about you are taking your car to a car wash. They use this technique where they would like kind of shampoo the exterior of your car. Let's say for $15. That's it. Like a simple shampoo, that's it. Or if you want a shampoo outside your car and they add some new, chemical, whatever, right? Add some new shine. And also they will vacuum your interior for $25. So you're thinking, well, $15. Well, for $10 more, I can, also, my car interior is a little bit dirty. Okay, I'll take that. And then they have the super detailing wax, like $200. You're like, oh, I'm not going to go for that $200. That's just too crazy. But I'm not going to be a cheap ass. I'm going to go for one in the middle. That's the one they want to sell you. So you can easily do this for your business. So I want you to create 3 boxes. The small one, very, very small.
So this is really powerful because it plays on a part of human behavior that is relatively uncommon. And that is that we like to be seen in a positive light. And this is where the term, if you've ever heard virtue signaling, comes from, is the reason why people virtue signal. And virtually signaling, for those who aren't aware what virtue signaling is, it's where people will white knight, or they will proclaim support for a cause that they believe makes them look morally superior to other people. It's called virtue signaling. And the reason why they're doing this is because behind the scenes, there's a part of them, the part of the human psyche that wants to be seen in a positive light by others. So if in this scenario, in a business scenario, we don't want to be seen as the person who takes the cheap option. If we're not going to take the most expensive, we don't want to be seen as someone who's a cheap ass. So we'll go for the middle option. And this is this really powerful psychology that's at play here.
More very wimpy. You can even think about gold, platinum. You've heard of those terms before. Silver, gold, and platinum for some kind of membership. They do that too. Wow. And this, I want you to make it as expensive, as luxurious as possible for the big one. Knowing most people will not go for this, but here's what's very interesting. At any given time, 5, 10, even as much as 20% of your marketplace, they will want the best, right? To give me the best thing that you have. That's good. Huge profit margin. But knowing you're not counting this to sell, right?
This is also true. So the law of distribution states that there will be a portion of your market at any one time, 10 to 15%, that are always going to buy the most expensive thing. And this also tracks with human behavior. We have a class of buyer that we call the warrior buyer, who just wants the best thing. They don't care how much it costs. They'll just pay the best of the best. These are the same people that pay for business class, first class. They pay for the VIP line, the fast track, etc., because they value efficiency over money. And so having this premium offer, you will capture 10% of your market that just want the most expensive thing because they perceive that it's going to be the most value.
This one, you're like, this is really for the cheap customer. You want the majority, the 60%, 80% to buy this one. So what you can do is, let's say the list of features and benefits, let's say this offer, you have 10 things. This, you might have it like 2 things. But this, you give it 7 things. This gets the most value when customer buys this. And you offer them the one in the middle. This is called contrast pricing. This is a decoy. You're not counting this out. This is simply a decoy. There you go. That's the strategy of 3 boxes. Very simple.
So yeah, really good video from Dan Lok here. I hope you got some value from today. YouTube reckons that you'll like this one or this one. If there's 2 up there, I'll see you in the next one.